Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse took the box office by storm.
Look at me!
And introduced fans to a slew of Spider-Man variants from across the multiverse. The majority of Spider people are friendly and from the neighborhood, but some of them turn out to be frightening monsters and scary like Miguel O'Hara. I'm sure if you're watching this video, then you already know the history surrounding Peter Parker, Dr. Octopus, and Superior Spider-Man. For those who don't, Otto Octavius kills Peter Parker and transfers his mind into Spider-Man's body. Doc Ock became the Superior Spider-Man for a while and enforced justice in a much harsher and brutal way. Octavius, as Peter, eventually turned fully evil again, because bad guy's gonna bad guy. And eventually, Peter took control of his body back. Death is terrifying enough, but to know someone was living inside of you and violating your body, ethics, and personal relationships? Yuck. One of the most overlooked tidbits of information in comic books history is the fact that Spider-Man was technically the first Venom. Yes, most people remember his black suit and how the Venom symbiote struggled to conquer Peter Parker's mind. But what most people don't consider is that the enhanced strength and outburst Spidey did experience was because he was becoming Venom. The thought of a gooey alien crawling up your skin is skin crawling too many. Brian Cornfield became Spider-X after coming into contact with a dwarf, who is actually a minion of the demon Chthon, who is the entity that wrote the Darkhold. Spider-X looks a lot like Doppelganger, but instead of 6 full-blown arms, he has 2 arms and 4 spider-like tendrils sticking out of his back. Of course, Spider-X has fangs, claws, and base powers similar to Spider-Man's, except for his transformation happened via chaos magic and not a spider bite. Peter Parker's clone brother Ben Reilly has the same powers as Spider-Man and began his heroic career as the Scarlet Spider. Ben also stepped in as the official Spider-Man several times over the years. However, due to Ben's mental health strains and repeated cloning, he struggled with his memory and identifying who he can trust.
I'm his clone, or maybe he's my clone.
Recently, during the Dark Web story arc, Ben Reilly teamed up with Goblin Queen and unlocked a whole new set of powers that represent the void of his being, donning the name CHASM. CHASM's aesthetic and mentality evoke terror, and he comes across dang near demonic. Miguel O'Hara is Spider-Man 2099, a somewhat superheroic, sort of anti-hero version of Spidey from an alternate dystopian future full of war and tragedy. Although Miguel O'Hara is a dark character in the comics, in the film Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Spider-Man 2099 was elevated to a whole new level of spooky. Struggling with the tragic loss himself, Miguel was portrayed as the true villain of the animated movie, putting Spidey 2099 in a whole new light. On Earth 11638, Peter Parker's Uncle Ben was never killed. Because of this, Peter never learned the crucial lessons he was meant to learn. With great power comes great responsibility, yada yada, and turned into more of a sinister fellow. With the help of his uncle, Peter became a brilliant scientist known as the Amazing Spider. Peter and Ben then started transporting other Spider-Men from around the universe to theirs in order to drain them of their powers. Unfortunately for the mad scientists, they flipped around and found out by transporting the OG Earth 616 Spider-Man to their world who accidentally killed them. Following his demise, Earth 11638 Peter returned from hell as the Spirit of Vengeance, known as Ghost Spider. And really, this was all just an elaborate way to combine Spider-Man and Ghost Rider for a comic book. Yet another clone of Peter Parker, only this time he's created by the Jackal, Spidercide is without a doubt one of the most terrifying versions of Spider-Man to date. Beyond having a totally badass name, Spidercide's genetics were tweaked by the Jackal, rendering the clone able to control and alter his molecular state. So in other words, he's a shapeshifter. Spidercide has had lasting rivalries not only with Peter Parker, but their other clone brothers Ben Reilly and Kane Parker as well. Spidercide is dangerous, unstable, and he smiles a lot, which is unsettling to say the least. Patient Zero is unquestionably one of the most tragic variants of Peter Parker and Spider-Man. Earth 11080 became infected with one of Marvel's deadliest viruses, which transformed Peter Parker into a cannibal. Terrifying. And what's worse, Patient Zero even ate the Rhino on live TV, spreading the infection that took over the world. Eventually, the Punisher, well, punished Patient Zero. But this remains one of the most horrific versions of any Marvel hero to date. Speaking of a tragedy, on Earth 51412, Patton Parnell was a weirdo who would spy on his cute female neighbor. While trying to impress this neighbor, an infected spider bit Patton, slowly transforming him into a horrific spider-like monster. Patton had an abusive Uncle Ted, who he, let's say, took care of as soon as he realized his newfound powers. But then Patton flew off the deep end and tried to kidnap his neighbor and presumably eat her, or something else I'm not comfortable even saying. Moreland showed up out of the blue to destroy and consume Parnell himself, and the rest, as they say, is history. Last but not least, Zombie Spider-Man first appeared in the Marvel Zombies universe, a world where a virus infected and transformed the majority of Marvel's heroes. Imagine a zombie chasing you, but it's Spider-Man. The thought alone is enough to keep a grown adult up at night, and luckily for the world, Zombie Spider-Man isn't all that bad of a dead dude. He eventually succumbed to guilt and helped trap and destroy the zombie universe to preserve the rest of the multiverse. See, happy endings do exist.
Oh god.
And there you have it. Be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons so you don't miss any creepy comic content.